Hello all, this is Phil, and at last the weather is changing, hopefully. Spring has sprung, hopefully. People are starting to come out of the woodwork again. Been out probably a couple of times on the bike recently. That's about all. And it was very coated up with salt from the roads, so I just brought it out and given it a once over. Just been into work. Come to Tesco's, use the Tesco jet wash, and gonna go out now, have a little play. Just filled it up, so we've got a full tank, a wet seat, which is always a pleasure. I'm going to do another shout out video, just to say hello to a few people. Firstly, Chuckles. I have been out on the bike. Last time I went out and it was snowing everywhere, I recorded and threw a little message to Chuckles in there. But I have to say I still don't know what's happened. But you've been in the wars again, sir. So, sending my wishes, best wishes, hoping you're getting well. But as I say, I don't know what happened or what injuries you've sustained, but it's never good news to hear that someone's been taken down on their bike. So sending you my best wishes, buddy. Hope you get well. I don't want gory details, but tell us how you're doing. I've seen messages from other people. Delinquentious. Obviously posted the message to let everybody know that you'd been in an accident. That was the first I heard of it. And then there's been the messages of well wishers since. Just seems like one day we've got a message going to and fro with Chuckles, and the next day I've heard he's had an accident or an incident. So there you go, buddy. Hope you're getting better. 7hunted. Glad to see you back on a bike, sir. That means a couple of things have happened, hopefully. Because the reason you had to get rid of Athena, from what I remember, was due to a change in job circumstances, a redundancy, lack of funds, and obviously you have to prioritise and sacrifice, and the bike had to be the one to go in the circumstances. So things must have changed, hopefully for the better, and which means life must be getting better for you, which is always good to see. Glad to see you back. Glad to hear you out on a bike. Not so impressed with your choice of bike, but I'm guessing needs must. If you could have got another Athena, I'm sure you would. But it's not diminished the feeling that you're getting from being out on two wheels again, from seeing your return video, that you've been grinning like a maniac. So that's the feeling that's there from being out on a bike. So glad you're back to that, and look forward to seeing more from you soon. Who else have we got? The Thebikervlogger. Thebikervlogger's changed his SV650 for a bike. It wasn't particularly on my short list of bikes to look at for when I do decide to change the 600 up. I had thought about a Triumph Tiger 1050, but I prefer the style of the Tiger 800, so the Triumph Tiger 800 had been on my list. And then I have watched a couple of other YouTubers who've been on Triumph speed triples and street triples. But then, Thebikervlogger, I saw you test ride the FZ8 Yamaha and thought you liked that when you rode that. But obviously not as much as you like that Triumph Sprint when you test that, because before the end of that test ride, that was cut short and a decision made that you are having that bike, and you did, and you have, so well done to you. Glad to see you're enjoying it. It does look awesome, and I have to say I went to I'm not sure it's called Leeds Triumph or Yorkshire Triumph. Leeds, I think it's Leeds Triumph and Ducati Centre, where they do both. They do downstairs, they do Triumph, and upstairs they do Ducati. And I went there, and they have all the demo bikes outside and a few used bikes. And there was a Sprint GT, I think it was. I don't know the difference. As I say, I'd not researched them. I hadn't been considering them. But there was a Sprint GT outside, and I looked at that and thought, that's nice. I think the things that put me off it, I won't say put me off it, but it's got the point of I want to make is it's got a single side rear swinging arm. So it's really nice because it exposes the right hand side of the wheel, so you can see the whole wheel on the right, and the hub, the brake, the drive is all on the left. So it's all in one on the left hand side, and your wheel is supported on one side. Now I've no doubt it's tested beyond what we need to know is safe, but I like a rear swinging arm that is a traditional rear swinging arm. So it's got two sides and an axle through the back. Also, because I bought a set of Oxford paddock stands, if you get a rear-sided, a single-sided swinging arm on the back, you can't use traditional-sized paddock stands, which hold the frame at both sides. They hold the rear swinging arm, and they lift it and support it, so you can take your wheel off, do chain adjustments, whatever you want to do. So I've not been keen on the idea of a single-sided rear swinging arm, but that's not to say I should rule it out, really. So it looks a great bike, definitely one I've no doubt I could live with as an upgrade when the time comes. So I mean, that doesn't help me, because I'm still I was almost sure I was going to get a Tiger 800, because I would also love the Kawasaki Z1000, but the insurance is ludicrous. The last quote I got for a Kawasaki Z1000 was £4,300, and even though I went out and test rode the Z1000 and fell in love with it, and I could afford the bike, there's no way I'm paying that insurance. No way. Every year I'm going to take a hit of £4,000 to insure a bike. So that kind of took the Z1000 out of the option list until I've got some more years, some more no claims, some more experience, and the insurance might come down. But even relative, if the insurance on that is £4,000 and the insurance for a Triumph Tiger is £1,000, then as the insurance for the Z1000 comes down, the insurance for the Tiger comes down. So is the insurance for a Kawasaki Z1000 always going to be 4 times more expensive than the insurance for a Tiger 800? Does that stand to reason? So for example, if with some experience and some years no claims, I end up where I could insure a Tiger 800 for £300, is the Z1000 going to be 4 times more than that at 1200? Because even then you think, well, yeah, 1200, it's a lot, but I can understand it and I'll pay it. Would I do that? Would I pay the 1200 when I could be on a Triumph Tiger 800 for a lot less? I know they're a totally different style of bike. Before anybody says, well, you can't even compare the bikes and you shouldn't be able to compare how much it costs to insure them, I do understand that. I don't expect something like an adventure bike, like the Tiger, to be in the same insurance range as an R1 or a GSXR or a ZX10 or anything in the big litre bike range. I know they're not going to be in the same range, but it's whether it's worth that difference. So there you go, that's my thinking at the moment. The Triumph Sprint has popped its head onto the options, and the Speed Triple. I like the look of the Speed Triple and the sound of the Speed Triple and the idea of a Speed Triple. I have to say I've not test ridden anything yet apart from a Z1000. Something else that's thrown another idea at me is a friend of mine who's just bought a Yamaha XTZ 1200 Super Tenere, and I believe that a friend of his is going to test ride that one, and he may buy a 1200 Super Tenere. And I know my friend Dave, who's already got his, he is suggesting to me that I should get one, but that's, I don't know, used to be a favourite of mine, used to be a bike I liked, but would I want one now? Not sure. But then that opens up, well, if I like the Tiger 800, what about the Tiger Explorer 1200? If I've got a couple of friends with XTZ, hello Snow, a couple of friends with XTZ 1200s, and I've got a Tiger 800, and I think they're planning a trip, a touring trip, I'm not going to be left behind, because the difference between the 800 Tiger and the 1200 Super Tenere, speed-wise, you're not going to get left behind. The speed limits, you can't go any faster. Speaking of which, we'll just drop that down a bit. So, am I going to be at a disadvantage on an 800? Or with it being a lighter, more manoeuvrable bike, am I going to be better off? Because I've heard the XTZ is a real heavy lump, designed in an adventure bike style, but too heavy to be a real adventure backroad bike. Do I want the lighter option of a Tiger 800? So now I'm thinking Tiger 800 or Tiger Explorer 1200. Don't know. Again, I don't know. All these things to think about, and all these questions and so many more still to be answered. I'm going to cut that off there because I know I tend to rabbit on a bit. Hope you're all well, hope you're enjoying yourself, and back out on your bikes. Take care, stay safe, this is Phil.